Alright, so welcome to Dreadnought Redux Part 10. So, last time I ended with a brief little, may as well call it a money shot of this thing all put together, looking nice. And so today, I think what I'll start with is trying to complete the effect of these little green stuff feed water tank looking things, hoping to make those look liquid, and then see what I can do to just expand a little bit, add a little more life to this deck, this guy too perhaps. See if I can think of anything more to add here or not, and then, well, probably spend a lot of time sorting this guy out. And I think I learned a little lesson here, and I'm going to sort this guy out in advance before even priming him. I'm going to add all the details beforehand. Now, the reason I say that is that, well, maybe not all the details, but as many as I can get away with. Actually, not to be honest, I really don't know. There is good and bad for both of those ideas. I mean, yeah, base coats, things that can be base coated, maybe I'll do beforehand, you know, but after that, little details and stuff I might want to wait on. We'll see. It'll depend on where I guess it kind of is a case-by-case basis is the best way to do it, come to think of it. Yeah, that's what I'll try and do, is kind of case-by-case. So I can get to all the things I need to paint on a detail, then I'll add it in beforehand. If I can't, then I can't, and I'll make adjustments as appropriate. But that is a lot of rambling about nothing. Let's get to modeling. And go we will. So here's me just starting to put all these pieces back into position. First, though, I'm adding some, besides stacking those in to get them back into their section of the boat. I also got those cut up pieces of that rolled up green stuff that I ended the last video with. And what I'm doing there is trying to get those to look just about as much like old tiny giant fan things as I can. Those looked kind of round. Now I'm just, because I got to glue it in place, I'm cutting off a bit of the super glue container in order to do that. I got to find a better way to, you know, use the super glue so it doesn't end up like this just giant, horrible mess like it happens to me I'm serious, it happens every single time. I'm sure there's like something I can get to put on top of the bottle that'll let me better direct it and then get full use out of it, but that's besides the point. So what you just saw me do there was kind of paint these, paint those guys a silver color to be machinery color, and now I'm laying them into the other areas with just some dots of super glue and then putting them onto their dots of super glue. Right there and right there. So, yep, that's going to be the blowers. And now I'm just cleaning out that super glue tool. And I'm sure I say this every time, but it's one of those purchases where it's been useful, it's had its uses, it just, I mean, it's better than the alternative, I gotta give it that, but it's like, I was expecting super amazing, and I got a smaller wheelhouse for that tool than I thought I would, which I guess that's sort of my fault. Anyway, so here's me and a really badly washed out thing because I messed up the camera settings on this particular set of 2 minutes. But what I was doing there was a lot of painting the water in those tanks blue. You know, last time I put the green stuff to look like water. This time I did something slightly different. Now I've got this whole washout thing, which I'm going to have to voice over until it fixes itself. It'll fix itself in about a minute, but here I'm laying down bits of plastic in various areas. You can see me cutting it out to put actually in upper sections, because all these rooms I'm doing right now are actually where is it? Yeah, they're actually the showers of the ship. So I figured what was a convenient way to make it look like there was a bunch of shower heads, and my thought was, hey, let's just make this look like a big pipe going across the ceiling that has, you know, various points where guys can, you know, put shower. I'm sure there we go, now it's fixed. So I'm sure there's better ways to do that. The other thing I'm doing is putting some of this, this is the really thin stock that I have, the 10 thou by 20 thou. And what I did is that actually double stacked a bit of it so that it would look like benches when cut to the appropriate sizes. So you just lay them in, and it looks like a place where people could sit. And then when I start populating this boat a bit, I can actually have them be places where people are sitting. Bit of hemming and hawing there, probably of how to do something, probably the exact thing I mentioned before, which is doing showers. There we are. And there I am, just trying to have everything fit nicely and in position. I guess this is my benches first I'm doing. Then I'll hopefully cut those to length at some point. And if not, well, then I've spotted something to fix in Dreadnought Part 11, haven't I? But there I go, just setting the that set up there for a shower. And once that's in place, glue it in place. There you go. And then same on the other side. And that way I've got that little wall detail I can paint silver, have the rest of the wall be blue like all the other bathrooms I did, etc., etc. And I mean like that kind of sky blue kind of thing, because I figured, you know, I'm pulling it out of my butt for the color of a bathroom, which probably would have been like white or something. But, you know, make it a little clearer, make it a little prettier, and try to get details to pop a bit more by adding some color. I'm already taking a lot of artistic license for this boat, so I might as well take a little more, eh? Alright, so what am I doing here? Looks like I'm filling in some other bits for a shower. Makes sense. Yeah, I think that's somebody's washroom. Don't know whose it is, so that gets to have like a little set of, I think it's somebody else's shower, so that gets to have some nice benches in the right positions. And do I add more benches, or do I... No, it looks like I'm going to try to add something else now. Maybe shelving or something somewhere. Looks like that's what I'm doing. So, where am I adding it and where? Aha, okay, so now I'm starting to do the engineer shop. So I'm making two little sets of shelves. And again, this is taking one of those sheet metal ammo tin things, you know, the photo etch ammo tin things I'd made, and putting it in a different orientation and gluing a small piece of the 10 thou by 20 thou styrene strip into it, so as to get it all nice and pretty and, well, looking like a shelf. And I do this for two of these after a lot of fiddling for getting it to stay in position. Bit of cursing and swearing. Yep, there we go. Cut another one free. So the cutters have been great. A great tool, in case you're wondering. Those blue cutters I got, those have been phenomenal for cutting through sheet metal and bringing things down to size. So, also, I can now wholeheartedly recommend, if you're going to put money into a hobby knife, get a surgeon's scalpel. It has been... The ability to so easily change out, the blades and everything, and have the blades be that sharp and just, it really is wonderful.
All right, so quite a bit to go over here, and I'll just keep this in the way that I'll be doing a bit of most of the next, if not all the next time-lapse section, just to make my life easy. Hi. So yeah, here is some of the work I did on the last time-lapse section. So these are actually washrooms. So I'm doing them uptown. It kind of looked like there's like a bench on one wall and then showers on another. And so that's why I use these thin strips to provide those details. Guess I'm going to have to put in some people or something to, and then paint on the walls something to represent the clothes that they had or whatnot. This, I think, was also a washroom. No, sorry, this was a drying room, according, if I remember the plans right. And this was the engineering shop. So this is where they, I'm assuming, would build stuff on ship. So I can make this look into some kind of workshop here. I already had some sort of a storage, little on-site storage, if you will. I'll probably add a little like desk or something here, facing like the wall, because they would have to probably plan out certain things. I would assume they would have at least one drafting table, and then I'll make some other stand-ins for other machinery and whatnot. This is again just kind of my assumptions on things a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that's what they meant by workshop. So this, I think, was like some kind of ventilation room, and then these over here pretty much coal bunkers and coaling trucks. So, yeah, this is coming along pretty good, and soon we'll be ready to prime this and then occupy it with people, I guess. Alright, that is going to be some of what I do in the next time lapse. Here we go. Alright, had a little bit of recording troubles there. Oh dear, looks like the app is still having some troubles. There we go. Okay, everything seems to be running normally there. But what am I doing up here on the screen that you're watching? So that was me cutting out some photo etch to start putting it in various positions. Because I've got to fill in that engineering shop. And for that, I figured they'd have like a drafting table or something in one of these. Because, you know, early 1900s. And then you're also going to see me probably make a couple of little stand-in machine tools out of styrene strip and styrene, sheeting, because I figured, yeah, I don't have any photo etch that can be easily turned into that, and these machine tools are big and beefy enough that I could make something that would be a fairly reasonable facsimile of these things. I'm not going to say it's perfect. I mean, it's not like I put, cross slides or something on the stand-in milling machines. But that is what I did here, essentially. I didn't put in, again, not the cross slides, but yeah, I did make stand-in milling machines and stand-in lathes, 2 each. So there I am. Now I'm trying to clean up this tool with some of the better chemical debonder. And with that, I try to glue in some other stuff using an older tactic that I discovered, just using a piece of the thin styrene strip to kind of add droplets that way. And now what I'm doing is, I guess I'm cutting out some more sheet metal for something. Maybe a chair or something. Maybe, no, I think it's a workbench. I think it's a nice big workbench in there as well. We'll see if that's that or not in a few moments. And it looks like I'm digging out the super glue tool again. Probably because I want to install a bench. Yeah, doing a little bit of this from a little longer memory, but that's life. It was 4th of July weekend and everything, so I had other festivities and whatnot to attend to. So there I am getting another surgical blade. Just to complete the audio clip that I had to kind of cut off. Yeah, the ability to so cheaply get replacement blades that are that sharp so easily is just wonderful and amazing. I actually got that box at the beginning of this whole pandemic thing, so, I mean, it wasn't a mask, but it wasn't as hard to get as you'd think it would be. And it was still cheaper than if I had gotten, X-Acto blades. So what I'm doing there is the gluing down of that desk I mentioned, not the little tiny desk, but the big workbench one. And now what I'm doing is I'm using that new fresh scalpel blade to cut stand-ins for a lathe and right now a milling machine. So I just essentially cut a giant L shape and put it onto a squared off base piece of the styrene strip that I've been using for the walls. And the way I figured is that it'd make something that looked close enough to pass muster. Maybe if I find a way to add a cross slide, I will. Cross slide is just, the thing that the workpiece moves on as you're, cutting stuff out of it. And I do a similar tactic for the lathes where I take a piece of a reasonable sized styrene strip and I essentially cut a U shape. Now that little figure you just saw scuttle past was my wife. She got caught on camera, but we're not going to introduce her voice or nothing, but yes, I have a wife. She's real. And going right along, here I am cutting. I'm assuming this, I think this is the lathes. There I am, very carefully cutting that U shape out of the plastic. Now I think I was gonna have like front sections for these guys, or something, and make them a similar complex way to the mills. I decided against that, probably just because it didn't seem to really need it. So there I am, laying them in using the cement to secure them, and in just about a moment you get to see me talk about these things in real time. Alrighty. Okay, I'm just going to take a brief moment at a time lapse to just say I am impressed with myself with this one. It actually looks like a reasonable facsimile of a shop. Up in that top corner, I got 2 milling machines, and there I have 2 lathes. Okay, it's just, bits of plastic cut to size, but what can I say? They are pretty good facsimiles when we're at 1/700th scale. Although I am wondering, how could I add cross slides and other fun details? But that's just... I think I've established that I'm nuts, but I'm not that nuts. Let's just set this camera back now, see if it's still got a good view. Yes, it does, and let's get back to the time-lapse. Alright, and to start any good old time-lapse, besides pulling the thing I'm working at, is a look at my planning book, and doing a bit of hemming-hawing, getting ready to paint this top floor of these decks. Well, not paint, sorry, but kind of lay out. And then I realized I gotta, paint the highlights of the water in those water tanks. So I do that. I go ahead and I just paint over those areas with a little bit of white, just the highlights. I think what I try to do is dry brush, and with a brush that small and with a sharp point isn't the easiest thing, but oh well, live and learn, right? So here I am using those snips to cut out some pieces. And the first room I did was, if I recall correctly, the warrant officer's mess. I'm assuming that's what WO meant on the plans. So there I am, folding up the legs of that one of the big tables that I created in Photo Etch, then trying to glue it in position, doing a lot of finagling, until finally, there it is, hooray. Next, what I end up doing is actually putting some chairs in position. I actually do manage to get 4 chairs into position on this. There's a lot of chairs that I had to grab and fold and cut down, and a lot of fiddling, but I do eventually get what I think is a nice scene where it's 3 guys at the table talking to each other. I figured that'd be a nice, mess hall scene, some guys just, some officers talking to each other and sharing a meal with one another because, well, that would be what you would do in a mess hall, isn't it? Anyway, so there I am, cutting things up, looking things around, and very quickly approaching a point where I've filmed this at normal speed, so I will be talking to you again on the other side of that. Alright. Okay, good. Now it's working. Silly thing. Maybe I didn't hear it beep or something. I don't know. I'll have to check the thing later. But just in case I didn't have a bit of slow motion because I haven't edited the film in a while. So I finally found out what this thing is here. It's actually, the drying room is actually for drying things. I'm just going to assume it's clothes and make some facsimile of a drying rack or something. As for this space, I think that was like some ventilator equipment, so I'll put that in there. And then that ought to be this level pretty well done, except for adding people and various states of doing things. And of course, then you get the coal bunkers in the sides. Outside of that, I'm starting up here. Now this level, I've got the little mess hall here, and I'll be adding some chairs into that position as appropriate. And hopefully, with a little bit of luck, things will be looking really good soon. Huh, where's the rest of the boat? Ah, it's right there, alright. I looked at some of the pieces that were out there. I was just wondering where everything else had gone. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get to this, and hopefully it's, you'll find it amusing. Alright, here we go. Okay, now that we're on the other side of that, I'm cutting ever more bits of the photo etch material down to get my chairs ready. That, or I've already managed to get the chairs ready. I have my doubts though. But there I go, getting some of these pieces ready. Very carefully trying to lay the super glue on the pieces so that I can actually get things to fit in appropriately. So this is a lot of work with the tweezers, a lot of work with the snips to get things down to the right size, and a lot of trying to get super glue to stick to things or go in the right places. There really is no secret sauce here other than try again. I'm thinking I must have lost more photo etch guys and things on the floor by now than I've actually managed to put into this model. Maybe not. Probably not in all actuality, but still. There I go. What I've been doing with this big bottle, because I don't have like a needle to drop it on to things really precisely, is I've just been dropping it, somewhere where I know it's not going to cause havoc if it sticks, and then just dipping my little super glue dropper tool into that. And again, every so often you see me making some cuts on the photo shreds that I have created and that have some usable things on them. And then just a lot of fiddling around with the either trying to dip the pieces directly into the super glue to get them to stick, or again using the little super glue tool. And there is a lot of just trial and error. That's all I could say. If I get a good glimpse of what I'm working on, I'll be able to actually better share with you. I know from what I understand, one of the draws of this channel is something nice to listen to, just easy listening for background whenever you're working. By the way, I hope y'all are doing okay with this whole coronavirus thing. I'm lucky enough to be able to work from home. If you got need of a job, I don't know how to help you. I'm sorry, and you've got my condolences, and I hope that things sort themselves out in a way so nobody gets hosed from this thing. I could grumble and grumble, but I'm not. No one wants to hear me grumble, so let's instead see if I can't discern what I'm doing, because, well, my hands are blocked, and I'm the one that did this thing, so... Note to self, really consider investing in that darn GoPro thing. But yep, this seems to be, I might be trying to add the people now into position, which would make sense with all that work with the fine tweezers and everything, and all that attempting to dip things in. Yeah, I think is that the silver piece? I think that is. Yeah, it looks like one of the silver bits, which had workable people on it. So now I'm trying to get people into the chairs. Now, what I've done to get people into the chairs here is I actually went ahead and I'd dipped them in. I cut them in half at the leg, at the legs are a little above, and then just dropped them onto the chairs. Now now what I've done is I've this actually no, this is me from a distance folding up the shelf for the pantry. So I guess I'm done adding the officers to their table after all, which is nice. So there I go, get things into position. Using super glue again because the plastic is not going to stick to the metal of this thing. And trying to finagle it into the little tiny space that is that warrant officer's pantry, which I'm assuming is just a storage space for people's food. I'm not sure what they called the kitchen, if they called it like a galley or something. Okay, oh boy, here I am goofing off on my phone, just setting a musical accoutrement or accompaniment to the festivities here because, why not? So there I am again with the tweezers. I think that might be, is that the flat end? No, yeah, that is a flat end. So I'm using the flat-ended ones to do bending and the sharp curvy points to do placement. You'll see in the next time-lapse section, I think it's the next one. Looks like it is. I end up eschewing that for the straight tweezers I used to have. Not entirely by choice, it's just that I remembered I'd had them upstairs when I'd started filming. I'm like, well, I'm already started here. I might as well just continue, and I grabbed the old ones and learned pretty promptly there that why exactly it was that I had chosen another thing. So, what have I got? Looks like I've got about another minute or so, maybe, of having to fill this in with me talking about what I'm doing here at the very least. Or slipping in the meaning of life into one of these. I don't know what that is. If I had that knowledge, I'd write a book and make millions. Of course, probably a bit shallow for someone who would know the meaning of life, so guess we know who's never going to know it. Enough of that silliness. 4th of July has been fun and all, but maybe for my own health I ought to get back to work, Anyways, moving right along. Here I am. So what I'm doing now is making beds for the officers' quarters. I'm just taking some plastic sheet, cutting it to size. Actually, strip. Sorry, not sheet. And this is a strip, the .080 by .020. I want to say it could be .010 that I've been using just as the walls of this thing. And gluing those in place. Now they can serve as beds. It's how I'm trying to place them. First, I do I'm not sure if it's like a warrant officer's cabin or not. But it was somebody I think it might have been a little higher on the food chain. I don't know. Or it was just a regular officer's cabin positioned funny. Maybe I'll be able to mention something of it in the upcoming normal speed segment, which is rapidly approaching. And there I am super gluing these things into position, and here I get to talk at normal speed.
Alright, so got my little piece here that I've already done up. And I got the, that's kind of the, whatchamacallit. Yeah, that's a lot of the officers' quarters. There's a sick bay. There's, I think, some offices and mess rooms here. Maybe a machinery room in this section. And then there's the, yeah, there's all these washrooms down here. This is drying room. I'll have to think of how to do. But yeah, we're rapid. Not sure if I'll get done with all of that or even half of it. But that we are rapidly approaching the end of Dreadnought 10. Or Dreadnought Redux 10, because I was a sissy and decided to nuke the whole channel because of this Copa thing. And that was premature. That was a bug on my desk. Now it's not there. Alright, so I'm going to get back to playing around with this. And after that, I don't know. Yeah, probably edit the video and upload it and see if I can't maintain this new pace that I found for myself. See if I can't keep that going. Alright, here we go.
Okay, home stretch of time-lapsing anyways. And actually looking at the length of this, how long these videos can be without, with just one night's of filming, makes me wonder if I could actually maintain an even faster pace. But, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But feel free to comment below if you like shorter videos, but spaced much closer together. It could be a couple times a week. I mean, I think one of my bigger sells is something easy, though, to listen to when you're at work or something. So, I don't know. I leave it to you guys. But it looks like somebody fell out of his little officer's meal there, so I put him back in position. And now I'm cutting some more of that styrene strip, the 8.080 by .020, I think, inch, to make the beds that go into all these officers' cabins. I think what I do is I put in the beds first. Then I realize that I don't have the nice curvy tweezers, and then I proceed to use a different set of tweezers, the thinner ones. And then I realize simultaneously that, hey, these can do the job, and hey, there is a reason why I got the curvy set. Here I am grabbing some more pieces of sheet metal I think this is where I start trying to add desks and such. And I think I also do at least one fully done up crew quarters with a desk, a chair, and a little cabinet for them. But there I am using the flat nose pieces to grip or to fold. Here I am at a different camera angle, and this camera angle seems to do a little better. Once again, cleaning the super glue applicator tool that I have, because, well, the other glue applicator I thought would work nicely that turned out not really to be the best tool would get clogged totally badly with super glue if I tried it. But this other tool works really pretty good, all things considered. I know I don't give it the most, glowing of a review, but really that particular tool is not a bad tool. So, I mean, if you think you could use it, go ahead. Maybe it would work better with a different type of super glue. I don't know. But going right along, here I am putting in more of the, I think of the desk pieces. Yep. And those things were pretty well difficult, even with my musical accompaniment there on my cell phone you just saw me set up to help me. So I think this is this it where I actually create the, I think this is. This might be where I go ahead and I create a shelf for the quarters. I should have added an actual shelf into this cabinet thing, but I forgot. I hope you all can let this one slide, because really it is 1/700th scale. Just saying. There I go, gluing it in, and that's about the point where I realized, oh hey, I should have added a shelf. And changing again the musical accompaniment, well, I realize also that I need to put this staircase that fell out of position back where it's supposed to go. And I think I get reasonably close-ish. Also, that's several of the walls came loose on this as I was working on it, so I had to re-glue them with solvent glue for the plastic. Anyways, again, now I'm cutting some things down, back to a different camera angle, and more of my hands blocking the way. So either I'm going to have to try that other camera angle, or a one of those GoPro cameras, like one of the ones that you can mount to your head. I've been thinking about that for a while. I know I said I'd get one. I really should. I don't know. We'll see. Then gluing in some bits, and overall, that's really how it is. It just says a lot of little fiddling around, cutting pieces out of the custom photo etch, hoping I don't lose so many that I end up having to make more, because that's gonna be a bit painful when I have to get to it, because I'll need some new stuff to pull that off. Good news is I'll be able to get better stuff now, and it'll probably pull off a lot better, but that's besides the point. So here I am using tweezers to manipulate and place some pieces before, again, using that super glue applicator to apply super glue really to the floor area of this model, because that's where it seems to go and drift onto things the easiest. Maybe one of these days I'll grow a brain and use one of them like hypodermic needle type applicators. But, well, last I checked, knocking on my head still sounded kind of hollow, so let's not get our hopes up. So once again, cleaning out the super glue applicator so I can try to nicely apply super glue, starting another musical accompaniment, and then finally super gluing something in place. And with that, we are just about at the end of this time-lapse section. I may cut another bed section, but here is the end of the video, and enjoy.
Alright, so as you can see there, I've got this kind of warrant officers thing done, and I've got some of the officers' cabins done up. At least there's beds in most of them. This is like a warrant officer's cabin way over here. But there's beds, then there's that. There's also desks and all of them, except for this one way over here. This one's got also his chair and his shelf. Going to add it to these two. And keep going on with that kind of pattern of amenities. But that's neither here nor there, because, well, it's over. So, or at least this part of the video is we're probably already at about 30 minutes long, give or take. So, next time I'll continue working on this. And probably get a bit more of it done. And then, then at some point soon, after I get this set of decks done, I'm going to have to decide, do I want to go with these little thin sections I've made, or do I want to tweak the boat a little bit more, hollow out some of these sections if I, like this one and this one maybe, just remove these walls, with the idea being that maybe I can make progress a little faster if I eliminate those. Again, though, that's neither here nor there. Alright, till next time, I'm Rich. Hope you enjoyed my little video here. And now for the YouTube dance, because this is YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, hooray! Okay, that's enough of that silliness. I hope you enjoyed that, and more importantly, I hope you enjoyed the clip. Feel free to leave a comment either way, and hopefully I see you for Dreadnought Redux Part 11. Peace out!